Welcome to our video on modern financial management for not-for-profits. My name is Rebecca Gatehouse and I'm one of the business development managers and not-for-profit solution advisors at Professional Advantage, and I'm based in our Queensland hub. Today we want to talk about and show you some of Dynamics 365 Business Central. Dynamics 365 Business Central is obviously from Microsoft and it's part of Microsoft's cloud platform, and we increasingly have been working with not-for-profits with Business Central as we find it a good fit in terms of the capability and the functionality that they're looking for, but also from a cost of ownership perspective. So firstly, though, before we join my colleague today, Rob, in a demonstration of Business Central, I just want to do a quick introduction to Business Central, and then we're going to walk through some highlights with Rob in a little bit. Now, Rob and I talk to not-for-profits almost weekly about their solutions and some of the improvements they're looking at making. And what we increasingly see is not-for-profits are very complex. They're complex organizations just by their very nature. And as they grow, obviously that complexity grows as well. And we find that the basic accounting software or the legacy ERP systems they're using kind of start to fall behind. And we find that these are the signs that the current solutions aren't going to be ready to handle that additional growth or that change that you're looking to make. And the challenges that we see are these ones here on the slide, which are siloed systems. See, having a large number of systems that need to do specialist capabilities across the organizations, but they're all disconnected. And as a result of all those multiple systems, there's duplicate data entry that obviously becomes quite a manual and cumbersome process and can lead to errors and things like that. There's a heavy reliance on manual processes. There's a heavy reliance on spreadsheets as well. We've got that lack of visibility over the data because we have lots of different systems and those systems contain important information, and it's difficult to get that visibility in an easy way. And so we find that different departments across the organization talk about the fact there's insufficient reporting. They don't have that visibility that they need to make the decisions that they need, from all the way from senior management and executives down to the day-to-day users that are trying to make decisions. Now, security and governance, very big hot topic, very important, particularly for the not-for-profit sector, as all of you have a large number of sensitive data, and we need to make sure that that information and that data is governed in an appropriate, compliant way, and also that we've got our security lined up so that the people that are accessing it are authorized to be in and interacting with your data. So we've just covered the challenges that we see. So what should the right solution actually be doing for you? So these will be quite obvious, I'm sure, when you go through those. And these are the things that if you are looking at changing and looking towards a new solution, here, I guess, 8 things that you really should cover off. One of them is obviously efficiency and automation. It kind of goes without saying, you're not going to go to a new system if it doesn't deliver you more efficiency and more automation. So things like data entry, reconciliation and reporting should be being automated. And that should be across all your different funding sources. There is obviously a move to get that visibility and access to data so that we can use that data to make better decisions for our organizations, whether I'm an end user and I'm running some services and programs and I want to look at utilization and efficiency through to the executive levels. One of the reasons that you would be shifting systems is that your old one's potentially not scaling for you. So obviously we want to look to the future and make sure that we've got that scalability. And scalabilities could be, you don't know what your future is going to look like. There might be different types of community services that you want to provide and take on. You might just grow in terms of the participants that you want to service. So you want to make sure that that's something that your new systems and your future systems work with. Cost effectiveness goes hand in hand. It's critical to all our clients, no matter what sector they're in. But for not-for-profits, where funding is finite and comes from different sources, and those sources are really about funding your mission, it's important that those back-end systems like the finance system are cost-effective in the back end and are efficient. We want to be integrating with all our different solutions. We talked about siloed data before. It is important to have those specific fit-for-purpose solutions that you need, but it's important that they're not siloed. It's important they're integrated to things like your finance system. With our reporting and access to the systems, we want that transparency across all the different stakeholders that require access to that information. And that leads also into compliance. We want to ensure that any kind of regulatory reporting that we need to be doing for our grants and our different funding bodies, that we can meet that, but not in an overly manual and cumbersome way. And we've already mentioned the importance of security and data protection. It's just fundamental. And Microsoft do a very good job of providing the capability, not just in Business Central, but their broader technology offerings. They're leading the way in terms of that security and data protection. So what is Business Central itself? At the end of the day, Business Central is a unified solution that will manage both your financial management and the operational aspects of your organization through to that reporting and analytics side of things, which is so important. So today we're going to show you just some key aspects of Business Central, but you can see it's actually quite a robust, comprehensive solution that can extend out to your operational aspects of your organizations, as well as being a robust solution to the financial management. Now, Business Central is uniquely positioned as a financial management system and an ERP because it really is genuinely the only truly connected solution to bring not-for-profits that full end-to-end support that they need right across their day-to-day activities through to finance teams and operational teams and IT. So you get that full suite of technology to support the entire organization, from how you manage your constituents through to your participant experience, through to that finance that we're going to be talking about today, the inside analytics, all the way through to that governance and security that we talked about as well. So Business Central itself obviously sits as part of that broad Microsoft cloud that includes the tools that you use day to day, like Outlook and Teams, and obviously things like Power BI and Power Automate, that Power Platform as well, supporting those solutions. Now, Copilot, you'll see in the middle there. Copilot, as you would have probably all heard a lot about Copilot, is being infused into all of the different applications from Microsoft. So anything from Copilot for Excel or Copilot for Teams through to Copilot for Business Central. All their different business applications are also going to be powered by Copilot, looking to provide natural language options for you to search, looking to provide automation of key things like bank reconciliation, for example. So you're going to see that AI experience more and more, and Business Central is no exception to that. And this is all underpinned critically by, obviously, that data and analytics layer and that identity, security management and compliance layer that Microsoft provide. Right, so I just wanted to introduce Robert Giannini, who's my colleague, and he's based over in our Perth hub, all over the other side of Australia. Now, Rob is perfect for the demonstration today. He is a Microsoft Dynamics specialist. He's been with PA for 16 years, and I know he worked with Dynamics before that. Importantly, he comes from an accounting background. He was an accountant. So again, perfect for this subject matter area. He's worked with over 200 of our clients, and a lot of those have been not-for-profit. So he's quite passionate about helping, for-purpose organizations implement solutions that are really going to help them and support them to deliver the missions that they have. So thanks, Robert. I'll hand over to you, and we're going to have a quick look at Business Central. And the key things that we're going to look at with that are, we're going to do a bit of an overview where we look at the navigation, what it's like, the look and feel. How do I, as an end user, what's my experience there? We're going to look at how it interacts with things like Excel and Teams and Office, which is what I spoke about earlier. And then we're just going to highlight some key things that are quite important. So it's not going to be a full end-to-end session today. We'd much rather provide that on a tailored one-to-one basis. But we're going to look at how it's structured and how that works for not-for-profits in terms of the chart of accounts and how we can manage grants just using the standard functionality, and then how we can automate AP. It's a typical process that we see is manual coming into the projects where we work that we want to automate. And importantly, how do we look at our budgets? If we're spending we want to keep track of that really closely in terms of our grants, but in overall terms of our profitability as well. So thank you, Rob. Let's get going.
All right. So, thanks for the intro. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take you through some, like Rebecca says, just trying to highlight there, I suppose, some of the key features you're going to see as a end user of Business Central. Here I've logged on to Business Central. You can see that I've logged on just using my browser. In my case, I'm just using Microsoft Edge browser and logged onto the application. It is available in app form as well for your Android and iOS devices. So you can load it on any of those devices using the app form. But even on those devices, as long as you have a browser, then you can access Business Central anywhere on the go. It uses fully, pass-through authentication with multi-factor authentication compatible, et cetera. Now, I've logged on to my company. In this case here, I've logged on to a company called Cronus Community Services as a single user with a single user license of Business Central. You can have as many companies on the go as you wish. Your license does not limit you to the number of companies. And the other thing is that, and you can see I'm logged on as Robert Jenny. You have access to multiple environments and so forth. And if I just click here, you can see all the different companies that I currently have in my environment that I can have access to. Every user, when they do log on, they are faced with this homepage, shall I say, and that homepage is basically what we call their role center in the organization, which is meant to mimic the role in your organization. So if I'm an accounts payable person, then I would have an accounts payable homepage role. If I was accounts receivable, I would have an accounts receivable homepage role, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the role page, as I scroll down here, you'll see basically he's trying to highlight or act as not just a means of navigation, but also as a dashboard into the organization that I'm working with. So it could have sales information, it could have purchase information. And as I scroll down here, there's information about my document capture activities, some email statuses, any intercompany transactions that I may be dealing with, anything requiring approval. And then when I get further down here, you'll see I've got some insights, some charts that are built into BC. And I've even got a nice Power BI report that I've designed here and deployed as part of my homepage. And the nice thing is that you'll see here, I can actually interact with that Power BI report directly from my homepage. I'm not sure if you can read that clearly, but yeah, all of that information is at my fingertips. So like I said, so the homepage, as you can see here, serves multiple purposes in that it becomes a means of navigating the solution and also a dashboard into the organization and what's actually happening. The layout of the homepage, you see it lends itself also to being able to easily navigate using a touch device, hence the large or the live tiles, yeah? So they're all about giving you a nice, easy way to navigate the solution. If you were on the road using a tablet device, for example, a touch-enabled device, it's nice and easy. You don't need a mouse to navigate the solution if you're just doing some inquiries, yeah? Okay, so that's a little bit about the homepage. Like I said, if I come down here, I've got this Power BI report. I can pop this out and expand from it. So from there, jump straight into it. So it's just a simple Power BI report. I say simple, but it's a Power BI report that we've written specifically. It's not anything special, but I think what I really want to highlight here is, like Rebecca's highlighting right at the beginning, and that is how all the Microsoft products talk to one another. So to be able to do this is actually very straightforward and easy to deploy a Power BI report onto your homepage and then render and interact with it from the homepage. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the interoperability. So that's a little bit about the navigation. You'll see more of that navigation features as I work through the solution today through the rest of the recordings. I'm now going to switch over and show you what Business Central also means for your day-to-day dealings when you're not actually specifically in the solution itself. So now I'm going to go here into Outlook. And when I go into Outlook, I'm just going to, let's say I've got an email here, which I pretend is an email could be from a customer or a vendor or just someone inquiring. In this case here, this is a vendor inquiring about some invoices. In this example, you'll see that the vendor has actually listed the invoices as part of the text of the email. Now, because I've got Business Central deployed in my 365 environment, then you get this whole what Rebecca referred to as interoperability happening. Yeah, so all the products are now conscious of one another and talk to one another. So therefore, Outlook can then read through the text of the email, and anything in the text of the email that looks like it may pertain to, say, for example, an invoice in Business Central, it highlights as a hyperlink here in the email itself. So all I have to do to get to any one of these documents now is just click on that provided hyperlink that Outlook has built for me, yeah? And with a single click, you should see that on this little pop-up window here, give it a minute or more, a few seconds, here we go. So there's all the details about that particular vendor document, yeah? And if I want, I could pop that out and make it bigger and what have you, but I can basically, with a single click, get to any of that information without having to log on to, Business Central separately. Even if the vendor, in my example here, didn't list those invoices, then that's where I can leverage the extra buttons added at the top here in Outlook. So now in Outlook, you'll see that I have a Business Central button. I can say, give me some contact insights about this contact. It's going to go off looking for Robert Giannini as a contact in Business Central and says, hey, Robert Giannini is actually a contact. That email is a contact for lots of vendors. So I'm just going to select one of them. Typically, it would only be for one, but there you go. So now here, without leaving that email, without leaving Outlook, right on the right-hand side here, I've got a window where all the pertinent information about this vendor is presented to me. Things like, how much does that vendor owe us? How many orders do we have outstanding? How many invoices do we have outstanding? I've got an aged accounts payable report, a few tiles to get to any open orders and so forth. But all of this information I can now interact with directly from this little window, right down, drilling right down to, say, for example, a source document here and so forth. But the point, again, I'm trying to make is the ease at which it is to interact with that data within Business Central directly from what you do on a day-to-day basis. And I know that, we all spend a lot more time in doing triaging emails like I am here, rather than actually in the ERP systems at times. And even if you're not a user of the ERP system on a regular basis, then this sort of thing makes getting to that information a whole lot easier. There's a whole bunch of other stuff we can do as well. I'm going to show you later on when we get to the AP automation piece. I'm going to show you how we then use that same sort of functionality to, again, make that a lot easier. So that's a little bit about how we interact with Business Central from Outlook and what we do there. Then good old Excel. Of course, Excel and Word. Here I've got an example. I've put together a general journal in Excel. I've created this spreadsheet just using, again, standard functionality that comes out of Business Central out of the box, whereby any screen in Business Central you can pretty much render via an Excel spreadsheet like I have here. And in essence, what I can do is I can enter data, I can edit data, and all I have to do is just hit the publish button here, and that will actually go and either insert the data or change the data or edit the data in Business Central. So I've got full edit in Excel capabilities for Business Central. I don't even have to be in Business Central. I can literally work from Excel. So that's another piece of interoperability. Another piece we have as well is, we're all becoming bigger users of Teams. I know at least here at PA, we use it quite heavily. So if I go into my Teams here, I have a look here, for example, here I am having a chat with Rebecca. And in that chat, I may wish to share some data. In this case, here, some vendor ledger entries. And then all Rebecca would have to do is literally click on that link that I've provided. And again, that link that I've provided will, take the user directly to that particular screen or that list of ledger entries for that vendor. This is just an example again, but that link that you're sharing could be to anything, and away you go. And now with Teams, without having left the conversation, I can now interact and chat to Rebecca whilst I'm viewing that data. So there's a little bit more about that interoperability. Going back into Business Central itself, the last piece we'll talk about, and an area which is growing quite fast at the moment, and it's obviously a bit of the buzzword, and that is the good old Copilot and AI capabilities. I'll quickly show you here that Business Central, as of the last release, they've started to build more and more of all these AI capabilities into the solution. So you can see here they've introduced AI capabilities into the bank rec. If you're entering sales documents, there's all that. On every page now, there's the ability to analyze lists. And all of these features, we're currently in the process of putting together some further videos, and we'll walk you through those features individually in videos that we're currently building. So look out for those in future releases of the solution when we walk you through those. All right, Rebecca, that's the intro bit. I'm going to hand back to Rebecca now.
Thanks, Rob. So that was a bit of an overview. Again, very brief, but just highlighting what Business Central looks like, what it's like for an end user in their day-to-day, and how we can be productive using Business Central, interacting with our tools that we spend our life in, like Outlook and Teams as well. So we'll touch on, you'll see a little bit of more of that in the rest of the session that we've got planned.